Welcome in watching News Central TV. It's time for News Now. I am Judith, Atibi. Top stories at this hour. Nigerian army denies revenge attacks on Delta community. Gambian parliament advances controversial female genital mutilation bill. And DR Congo journalist jailed over fabricated military story. Details shortly. Stay with us. We begin in the west of the continent, where the Nigerian army has denied carrying out reprisal attacks after the deaths of 16 soldiers in the southern Delta state. Now, this comes after residents alleged that troops burned down a village in retaliation. Residents in the oil-producing region claimed that soldiers targeted Okwama, an ethnic Urobo village, following the announcement of the soldiers' deaths last Saturday. However, defense spokesman Major General Edward Buba dismissed the accusations of reprisals on Monday evening, calling them fake news. Videos showing houses on fire along the Focados River have been circulating on social media since Sunday, but their authenticity remains unverified. Nigeria has faced accusations of military reprisals in the past, including the 2001 Ziki Baya massacre in Benue State and the 1999 Odi massacre in Bayelsa State, where hundreds of civilians were killed. And still with Delta and a more related development, the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oboriwori, has visited the 63 Brigade base in Bomadi following the killings of soldiers and civilians in Okwama community in Ugeli South local government area of Delta State, South Nigeria. Now, the commander, 63 Brigade Asaba, and that's Brigadier General Ugochukwu Unachuku, alongside other military senior commanders and the State Commissioner of Police, had a closed session meeting with the governor at the Bomadi jetty. Meanwhile, there are heavy armed military personnel on the ground, water and air, mounting surveillance over the area. Still in Delta State, a group of motorcycle riders, popularly called Okada riders, embarked on a violent protest within the Asaba metropolis over their perceived maltreatment by members of the state task force, who enforces the ban on late-hour operations of tricycles and motorcycles in Asaba at about 8 a.m. The protesters stormed the task force office along Summit Road, ransacked and destroyed vehicles and offices. Meanwhile, the State Police Command has arrested 8 suspects, impounded 53 motorcycles. The state government also inspecting the scene of destruction in company of the Secretary of the State Government, Kingsley Imo, and Head of State, Reginald Bayoko, condemned the action of the protesters for the wanton destruction and vandalization of property at the Motorcycle and Tricycle Operators Association, COMTA Secretariat. In the meantime, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons has continued to initiate and sustain armed conflict and pervasive crime globally. Now, in this report, News Central's Austin Azu examines how this has worsened insecurity challenges in Nigeria.
While insurgency and banditry terrorize northern part of Nigeria, militants and unknown gunmen hold sway in the south. In Delta State, South Nigeria, the police say they have made the state uncomfortable for criminal-minded persons with this harvest of weapons and ammunition.
To continue to clamp down on these individuals, ensure that if you do not have the license, if you do not have the authority to deal or to trade in these things, you have no right being in possession of them.
In the meantime, the 63 Brigade of the Nigerian Army has discovered a weapons manufacturing factory in the forest of Olisho Nona in Anosha North local government area of the state and arrested 8 suspects involved in the family business.
Where we are now is an arms and ammunition, improvised explosive devices, and drones manufacturing factory for the enemy. We know in this axis it's only IPOB and Eastern Security Network that uses improvised explosive devices and even drones. We question those guys, so we hear from them the quantum of weapons they are manufacturing, both for the insurgents and for armed robbers in Delta State. So these people here are major contributors to the insecurity not just in Delta State, but even across southeastern Nigeria and neighboring states here.
The arms factory has a surveillance post, generating sets connected from a remote location, an oven for melting of iron, and a cache of arms and ammunition. The prime suspect, a 22-year-old young man, admitted to have rented some of the arms to criminal elements for said fears.
I was front there before, sir. My daddy said I should leave his veranda because he's not comfortable with me being around his veranda. That's why I shifted to the side. I was front where that big generator was.
Sir.
Yes.
This thing you're doing here, is it legal or illegal? Simple question.
It's illegal, man.
Some residents of the state are worried over the proliferation of these illicit small and light weapons in the hands of questionable individuals in the state and beyond.
First, there should be a general overhaul in our security chiefs. You can't tell me that arms will just enter the country without the securities, the officials, the police, the armies knowing about that. So they already know, even if it's imported, how do they get into the country? So they know what they are doing, and they know where the arms are and where.
Security situation in the country has been identified as a contributor to the harsh economy. On the other hand, some people believe that some individuals take to crime as a means of survival. But what matters to many Nigerians is that citizens feel safe to live and engage in their legitimate activities in any part of the country. Realizing this has become a thought dream for a long time now. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
The River State Police Command says it has arrested a 16-year-old boy who allegedly defiled his 11-year-old female schoolmate in the school premises at Rimo Korusi on the outskirts of Port Harcourt last Friday. It was gathered that while the Randy student carried out the act, his friends watched the scene as he pushed down the girl from behind and had his way inside the school premises. Shortly after committing the act, the boy was said to have scaled the school fence to escape what was later held by the school authorities, while the girl was taken to an undisclosed hospital for treatment. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Grace Irigi Koko, confirmed the incident, saying the male student has been arrested while the investigation is ongoing. When a soldier operating in a conflict-affected region like Borno State goes above and beyond obvious responsibilities to ensure he works with his team for the welfare of the local population, then such a soldier deserves his flowers. This is the story of Col Aliu Ahmed. Our correspondent Umaru Kirawa brings us the full story.
Despite the challenges of serving the country in midst of conflict, Col Aliu Ahmed has speaked out for keeping alive the humanity behind the steel wall of being a soldier. There may not be a better way of improving the image of the Nigerian armed forces, which is a top agenda advocated by the military personnel in its dealings with the public.
They get excited when they see you in uniform in other countries. I have been to, at least I have trained in India, I have trained in the United States of America, that's where I stay longer. They appreciate you when they see you in uniform, they come snap selfie with you. But here, they want Boko Haram to even kill you.
Col Aliu Ahmed's dedication to humanitarianism and his commitment to promoting a humane environment has won the hearts of many in the community he is serving.
Col Ahmed Ali brought humane phenomenon into military detention. This military officer showed a sense of humanity at its best. He created skills acquisition programs for detainees and allowed those already skilled in different occupations as traders to practice means of livelihood.
But for the last 2 years, no woman has come out of Giwa Barracks and accused any bisexual violation. So we congratulate you, we urge you to keep you up and then pray for the military authority to continue leaving Col Ahmed here.
The people of Borno State often describe Col Aliu Ahmed as approachable and compassionate.
When you see the picture of how Giwa Barracks was, how the inmates were treated, and present how you see the huge gap, and you appreciate what he has done. He was able to buy their trust. He leads them in prayers, he's teaching them a lot of vocational works, he's training them in a lot of things. And I feel this is something we could emulate from Col Ahmed.
They recount how he takes the time to listen to their concerns and offers support wherever possible.
Everything good is said not to come easy, but the good side of being good at all time, whether a military personnel or civilian, is that people or the community at large will continue to salute and appreciate such virtue. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
And watching news now on News Central TV. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. We continue the news with education in Nigeria as the 7-day warning strike embarked upon by the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union began today in most public universities across the Federation. News Center's Chizoba Anyonwe was at the University of Jos, North Central Nigeria, and now has his reports.
This is the main campus of the University of Jos, where the striking workers had locked the main gate of the institution, not allowing students and staff to gain entrance. On the intervention of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Tanko Ishaya, the gates were forcefully opened, though there were skeletal activities on campus. Officials of the striking unions were on hand to speak to journalists.
It's a national strike. We are calling on government to pay us back our 4 months withheld salary. Yes. We are not competing with anybody. Yes. And so it is our job to hold the gates of every institution. Yes. It is our choice that we became supporting staff or what they call. Yes. It is our choice as non-teaching staff. If not, all of us will go and teach. Yes. But because we are now not teaching, a part of our work is to hold the gate to ensure that this is our job. And for that reason, we were doing it diligently and carefully.
And academic staff of the university allayed fears that the warning strike could hamper academic activities in the school.
We are on ground to take care of the students, so I don't see any way this is going to affect the academic activities of the school.
The students appeal to government to act fast and resolve the issues in order to save their academic activities from being derailed.
What I really feel is that the government and the nursery union should come to the table and then find a way to resolve the issue.
An institution that is supposed to be run by the government and is supposed to be managed and handled by the government. So if they could step up and do what they're supposed to do, honor their agreements and everything, that would really be nice for everyone involved.
We just hope government will be able to resolve and settle the outstanding salaries for them, so that school will go back to normal.
However, certain stakeholders are calling on government to wade into the matter so that these recurrent industrial actions do not continue to take its toll on the students. In Jos, for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
In the meantime, the Patriots, a group of eminent citizens led by the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Emeka Anyaoku, earlier Monday held a national dialogue on the constitutional future of Nigeria. Now, the National Summit, which is aimed at mobilizing Nigerians towards a new prosperous country, is in honor of constitutional lawyer, late Professor Ben Nwambueze. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
For years, the 1999 Constitution has been a cause for controversy, with some people saying it needs reform, while others believe it should be scrapped entirely. The aim of this historical national colloquium is to set a popular citizens' agenda for the ongoing constitution review process initiated by the National Assembly towards the political reconfiguration and stability of Nigeria.
With this, their work amounts to what we are looking for. Is it just a case of amendment to the Constitution that is our problem? Can you amend a bad document? Can you amend a fundamentally flawed document? My humble answer is that you cannot.
Present at the National Summit were keynote speakers, discussants, serving and former governors, traditional rulers, eminent national leaders of thought, scholars, members of the judiciary, among other Nigerians. Some of them argued that the current system of government is not favorable to Nigerians, preferring that a parliamentary system should be adopted instead, while others argued that the constitution should indeed be reformed, with the president taking the lead.
What is required is not an amendment to the current constitution, but a completely new constitution to be made by the people.
This whole constitutional thing is important. But you know, who we elect to govern. The constitution we have now, if we had the right people, it would work somewhat. It's not perfect, somewhat. And we will never get a perfect constitution. But the bigger problem we have are the characters we elect to operate the system.
From my experience, when we were advocating for true federalism and resource control, with due respect to all my other colleagues, the governor of Lagos then, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was the only Southwest governor that joined us in that advocacy. So it doesn't need much convincing. The question will be, now that he's sitting there, like my brother Ben Gardner said, will he begin to contemplate, am I going to preside over the dismemberment of Nigeria? Because the question is, it's not about dismemberment, it's about the correction of the anomaly called the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The matter of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution is one that was very close to the heart of late Professor Ben Wambuezi. The onus now lies with the powers that be to look into reviewing the Nigerian Constitution in order to actualize a better nation. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Unwili.
Nigeria's parliament has tasked legislative aides to maintain a high sense of professionalism in helping their principals achieve their obligations. This was during a two-day retreat for senior legislative aides in the office of the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, where they were tasked to ensure they deliver on their key mandates. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
The office of the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives is charged with huge responsibilities, including presiding over the House in the absence of the Speaker, generating ideas to support the development of the country, and heading relevant committees, among others. Given this, legislative aides play a crucial role in helping him achieve his objectives. Thus, the need to ensure they have adequate capacity to play this role.
Under the Ninth Assembly, to be precise, we successfully trained about 3,000 legislative aides under our different scheme and platform. I want to assure you all that we remain committed to the effective discharge of these mandates under the 10th Assembly.
On one hand, the retreat is organized to provide senior legislative aides with opportunities to engage in conversations that foster intra- and inter-chamber synergy, and on the other hand, it is to enhance the intellectual abilities and skills of senior legislative aides to facilitate effective collaboration.
While the need for training cannot be overemphasized, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and past principal officers have tasked the aides to be loyal and professional in their duties.
Serving him, that also elevates your status in your respective constituencies and wherever you find yourselves. So please, be appreciative.
It is your collective research work that will make the office enviable and workable, or bring down the institutional repute of that particular office.
You must continue to hold our standard in administering the office. Efficiency, professionalism, and ethical considerations should guide our interactions.
Development partners present highlighted the need for collaboration, identifying several focus areas.
We look forward to working together with you to synergizing our efforts to further strengthening and improving the electoral process in Nigeria based on the lessons learned from the general election of 2023.
The theme for the two-day retreat is Synergy and Success. The Deputy Speaker called for synergy among the three arms of government to ensure the growth and development of the country. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And now we'll face economy, and this time Nigeria's inflation rates, as Nigeria's annual inflation reached a new high of 31.7% in February of 2024, up from 29.9% in January, with food inflation climbing to 37.9%, the highest since August of 2005. Now, factors contributing to this crisis include the removal of fuel subsidies and a declining naira. And to address skyrocketing prices, measures must be taken to stabilize the currency and address underlying economic issues. Now, additionally, efforts to boost agricultural production and improve supply chain efficiency are crucial. Tackling corruption and implementing targeted social welfare programs could also alleviate the burden on vulnerable populations affected by rising costs of living and food. And to this effect, we have News Central's TV's business correspondent, and that is Perpetua Fasomi Peters. Right here, she's on Lagos markets at the moment, a market in Lagos, as she is checking the reality of the cost of food. Perpetua, are you there? Can you hear me, Perpetua? All right, we'll bring back the report for you as we're unable to connect with Perpetual there. Moving away from that and now to the Federal Capital Territory, where the Minister, Nyesom Wike, has inaugurated the FCT Civil Service Commission, comprising of 10 permanent secretaries and a head of civil service. Also, 7 commissioners, including a chairman of the commission, was also appointed. The minister tasked them to live up to the expectations of their office, warning them that underperformance will not be tolerated. Amadin Uyi has this report.
It was a much-awaited session for staff of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. With over 230 directors, many of them will now have an opportunity of rising in their profession, and some attaining the position of permanent secretaries. For the lucky ones, 10 have been appointed to lead the new departments as permanent secretaries, and they successfully took their oath of office as the minister inaugurated the FCT Civil Service Commission.
I will not discriminate on the basis of religion.
I will not discriminate on the basis of religion,
tribe, cult, or status.
The minister warned the permanent secretaries about underperformance, saying that it will not be tolerated.
I don't want to hear, now that we're heading secretariats, you have your mandate secretaries as your political heads. I don't want to hear that files are unduly delayed. I don't want to hear that files are unduly delayed. If you perform below expectation, there's nothing like query. There's nothing like query him as proper civil service rules. We have no time for that. We'll just send you packing as permanent secretary.
He also urged them to support the current government, cooperating with their mandate secretaries.
We want you to assist, we want you to support the government of Col Ahmed Tinubu to realize the renewed hope agenda. Wherever you are posted, what we require for you is commitment and total loyalty. Total loyalty. Nothing like 99.something%. It's 100%.
10 permanent secretaries were appointed with the head of the FCT Civil Service, while 7 members were appointed, including the chairman of the FCT Civil Service Commission. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Earlier on the news, we brought you a story on Nigeria's inflation as it has hit a 28-year high at 31.7% for the month of February, as well as food inflation climbing to 37.9%, the highest since August 2005. Currently, we do have News Central's business correspondent, and that is Perpetual Fasomi Peters in the market. Perpetual, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us, what is it like in the markets when it comes to prices? What's the reality? Talk to me.
All right, thank you so much. And I appreciate the introduction you gave about how that inflation has risen to 31.7, a 28-year high. And we also know how that food inflation contributes a whole lot to inflation, especially here in Nigeria. And with food inflation rising to a very high figure right now, it's only imperative that we interrogate that and see some of the things that have been priced into these prices. And that's why I'll be speaking to one of the persons here. He is Dan Sokoto. So he's a seller of onions. So he's going to be telling us more. But what I can tell you is that transportation is a huge contributor. I mean, you may want to call it logistics, really moving some of those goods from the far north to here, southern Nigeria. You will not be surprised, while we're seeing that hike or that, rise in prices. And you also want to price in the removal of fuel subsidy into all of these things, because that essentially ensures that the price of petrol is expensive, the price of diesel is expensive, and all of these things, they add to the cost of production or the cost of doing business. And at the end of the day, for you to be able to, make ends meet and have something return on your investment, you just have to price it into something. And that particular thing is the price that consumers have to pay before they can get some of these commodities. If you do not mind, I'd like to, pass the microphone to our guest here, Dan Sokoto, who will be telling us more about this.
All right, of course, let's speak to Dan Sokoto. Dan Sokoto, good morning. Petro, would like to hear from him and to know what the latest is. I'm sure he's a trader there, and he is more than the best hands to tell us exactly what businesses are going through.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much.
Good morning.
I saw 2 or 3 people live here. They ended up not buying what you're selling. Why is that?
Reason most of them, they cannot cope with the price. Because what they budgeted is not what they met when they enter markets. And what caused it? The price of food increase started due to the removal of subsidy. For example, look at the onion before. From Sokoto to Lagos, how much are we transport it? The bag we are carrying at the rate of 500, 1,000 before. Now we are carrying 8,000 naira per one bag, 8,500. Even some trailer drivers used to collect 9,000 naira. And all those things added to the price of the markets, because the thing affected them through the diesel. We were told that the amount they are buying diesel in a pumping filling station is higher than what they are expecting. Majorly, what they bought yesterday is not what they are going to buy today. And those things is adding to the increasement of all things in Nigeria. And other things that government need to do, if they want to help masses, they need to subsidize, or they should look to alternative way that will be the masses will be able to comfortable with their legacy that they lay down for the Nigerians.
All right, so there are some talks about price control. What do you think about having a price control board ensuring that prices of goods and services do not exceed certain amounts? Do you think that will work?
Yeah, we have been hearing about the price control, but the government, I'm sorry to say, our government is not what they pronounce that they will do. Atibi, in Nigeria we have a price consumption regulation commission. Government should set up a task force that they should be going around to be looking most of like our essential foods, like rice, other things, to be going there and ask them how much are you selling your own, how much are you selling your own. But we, the farm product, we don't have accurate price because our price based on what we bought in the farm. And what make our price not stable? We bring onion from different states. Sokoto is there, Kebbi is there, Syria, which is Kaduna, is there, Sanfara is there. So it's not the price that you bought in Sokoto that you are going to buy in Kaduna, Syria, even to Zamfara self, because some states, the insecurity has affected them. Like Zamfara, before, the farmer used to go to farm and produce much and more of onion. But due to the insecurity, kidnapping and other things, they cannot be able to go to farm and produce. The little one they are producing, they must put money to it. And because there's no alternative, there's nothing like competition. It's only one farmer, monopoly. So whatever it says, that's people who will surrender to buy it. But it being, there's nothing like insecurity. Farmer goes to farm, they produce a lot of onions. If this one, the price of Mr. A is rising, then Mr. B may less his own, then we'll go to Mr. B. So those are the things that are affecting us.
All right, so let me ask you this particular question now. You know, the Nigerian government has lifted the ban and sanctions on Niger Republic, saying that borders should be open. What impact do you think the opening of borders from our side and even from Niger Republic from their own end, what impact do you think it will have? Will it help us, improve food?
Based on what we had, if government wants to do it, they need to open all the borders. For example, they opened the Niger zone. How many goods are being bringing to Nigeria from Niger? The little one they are bringing, it cannot reach us to consume. But we have different borders. As they open Niger zone, let them open Benin Republic, where they'll be bringing rice and other essential goods to Nigeria. Then Cameroon, they have their own goods that they didn't bring to Nigeria. But if, as government said that they have opened Niger, let them open the other borders. Then if they are talking about the insecurity, let them put the standard and gallant that goods to go officers in the border, so that they'll be cross-checking and checkmate of any motor that is coming to this nation. And they should caution all the security officers that they should be in standby, vigilance. By doing that, things will be okay in this nation. Because a situation whereby the federal government not allow another country to bring rice and other essential goods, the one that we are producing in Nigeria is not up to. And the one that we are producing in Nigeria as a local rice, even that one is more costly than the foreign one, which is not supposed to be. It's our product. We don't need to afflict ourselves. So federal government should look into it that, okay, in as much the local one is rising up, open border, let them bring their, if there's competition in market, things will come down. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you've heard Dan Sokoto. I don't know if you have any other questions, either for me or you just want to, say a thing or two.
Perpetua, I mean, you've done it all. You've asked all the questions that are very important, even at this time. I'm sure more conversations on this will continue. But if there's two things I take away from that, it was insecurity that is also hiking up the prices for the farmers there, as well as fuel subsidy, which is hiking up food prices. And without anything else, the price today will change when it comes tomorrow. So the price is never the same price, and it's all uncertainty. We are in uncertain times. Hopefully all of this mitigations by the government, especially with Onje Eco that was just launched on Sunday, will help in the prices of food. But Perpetua, many thanks for doing this. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you too. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
And coming up, Gambian Parliament advances bill lifting ban on female genital mutilations. We have the details after the break. Join us again. And we continue in Gambia, where lawmakers ignited a firestorm on Monday by advancing a bill that could overturn the country's 2015 ban on female genital mutilation, also known as FGM. The move has deeply divided the nation, with hundreds protesting outside Parliament. According to reports, proponents of FGM reportedly outnumber those advocating for the existing ban. However, human rights activists warn that the proposed legislation jeopardizes years of progress on women's rights and tarnishes Gambia's human rights record. The bill passed through the first hurdle with a 42-4 vote. It now moves to a parliamentarian committee for further review over the next 3 months before returning for a final vote.
Of female circumcision is a direct violation of citizens' right to practice their culture, religious, and guaranteed by the 1997 Constitution. Honorable Speaker, given the Gambia predominantly Muslim population and the law is inconsistent with the aspiration of the majority of the people, should be reconsidered. Female circumcision is a cultural significant practice supported by Islam.
It is World Social Work Day, and South Africa joins the international community and partners across the globe to celebrate World Social Work Day under this year's theme, and that is respecting diversity through joint social action. The day is celebrated worldwide every third Tuesday of March and the month of March to recognize and highlight the contribution of the social work professionals to the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities across the globe. In South Africa, this day coincides with the celebration of the Human Rights Month, which acknowledges the historical link between the social work profession, human rights, and social. And to discuss more on the importance of this day, I am joined by social worker Buyiswa Mpini. Buyiswa, it's lovely having you join me today and to discuss this wonderful event.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here as a social worker. It's quite an important and very wonderful day that our profession is recognized globally because of the work that we do, especially in bringing about transformative change in communities.
Buyiswa, you just talked about importance, so let's start there. Why is it important to celebrate Social Work Day, and how can celebrating Social Work Day increase awareness about the profession?
I think it's very critical that we celebrate the role that social workers play. As you have already said in your introduction, that social workers play a critical role about bringing social change and about promoting human rights, especially in terms of ensuring that communities achieve what we call health and well-being. Therefore, during this time or this day, we then commemorate and highlight the importance of this profession, of what this profession is doing in making sure that communities the communities are part and collaborate and partner with us in bringing about the change that is needed, especially in a world that is experiencing a lot of crises in terms of conflict, violence, and poverty that many of our people are facing. Therefore, this day is about saying social workers still have a critical role to play, and because of the nature of our work, we play a pivotal role in making sure that the world is a better place.
You said recognizing social workers and their importance, but in what ways can recognizing Social Work Day as well impact the overall perception of social workers in our society?
It's when we as social workers can highlight the work that we are doing in communities, is when we join with other professions around advancing the development agenda in terms of bringing about social cohesion, peace, as well as development of the people. When we highlight the work we do, and then when we also innovate in terms of finding sustainable solutions to the challenges that the world faces today, in that way we actually bring the spotlight to the importance of social work profession and make people aware, and therefore also make the profession more attractive to young people that are still upcoming to join the profession in order to create a movement that is changing the world.
Right. Now, of course, having a day means that, it celebrates, recognition is brought to it. But also, let's talk about some of the challenges that you face as well as a social worker and in a society and even on a continent like ours, where social workers are faced by so many. I mean, I can't say, but you are in the best position. So tell us, what are some challenges that you face in your field?
I think one of the things that is the biggest challenge that we face as social workers is sufficient resources to actually bring about the change that is needed in the work that we are doing. And with the dwindling funding, especially because many of our social workers in the world work for the NGO sector, and with the dwindling funding that funds social NGOs, the non-governmental organization, it actually makes the work of the social workers more challenging in terms of ensuring that we are able to reach especially the poorest of the poor on the ground. And one of the challenges that we are also facing, because of the nature of some of the sensitive work that we do in terms of getting into people's homes, in trying to create safety, especially for the vulnerable, we are also facing safety of our own, because then we find ourselves under attack for the kind of work that we are doing, especially around child protection, where at some stage we are in conflict with communities when we need to remove children from danger that are in their families.
Right. And given how our family system or society in Africa is quite a challenge to be able to do that when it comes to protecting girls and women as well as children. I can understand what it's like going into families and homes. But you're celebrating today. Let me wish you a happy celebration as well. And hopefully these will bring more recognition and also help us have conversations like this and challenges and doing better for social work in Africa.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go out there and celebrate with my fellow professionals to say we can do this, we can continue to fight for social justice.
Buiswa, I will be with you, behind you as well. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is due to hold talks with Philippines President, and that's Ferdinand Marcos, on Tuesday, as the country seeks to reinforce security and economic ties in the face of growing Chinese aggression. Blinken's visit to Manila is second since Marcos took office in June 2022 as part of a brief Asia tour that also included South Korea. Washington is keen to improve relations with its regional allies, such as Manila and Seoul, in a bid to deter China and North Korea as tensions rise in the South China Sea over Taiwan and on the Korean Peninsula. Blinken's trip comes ahead of trilateral meeting in Washington next month between U.S. President Joe Biden, Marcos, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Announcing the three-way summit with the Asia-Pacific allies, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the leaders would push a shared vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Standing partnership between the United States and the Philippines when it comes to semiconductors. We have companies that have been here, working here, investing here for many, many years. And if you look at the industry, it's truly extraordinary. Some 3 million jobs here in the Philippines. So the Philippines is a thriving partner and a critical partner, indeed an increasingly critical partner in the semiconductor supply.
And in sports, Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey, who scored the goal that denied the Super Eagles a qualification for the Qatar 2022 World Cup and also put Ghana through, has asked to be excused from Friday's friendly match with Nigeria in Morocco. He's not alone, by the way. Also to be omitted is Spanish Atletico Bilbao forward, that's Inika Williams. Both have been omitted from the Ghana squad as they have requested time to regain full fitness following recent injuries. The Ghana national team announced on their official Twitter account the reasons for the players' absence from the forthcoming international friendly against Nigeria. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories we took inside of this bulletin. Nigerian army has denied revenge attacks on Delta community. Gambian parliament has advanced controversial female genital mutilation bill. We also told you that DR Congo journalists have been jailed over fabricated military story. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now displaying on the screen, and make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV, and you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, Atibi.